Alright, here we go, folks. Can it be done? They will join us or die, Master, says 4GG. He is in the blue trunks, and he is playing Terran to the northeast of the Cloud Kingdom, versus his opponent, MVP Lure. He is in the red trunks, and he is playing Protoss to the southwest. So something that I missed in that last game, mostly because I was following the Stalkers, and I don't have a dedicated observer, also I've had 2 hours sleep, is that there was an Oracle moving into the main mineral line that killed the remaining workers, and that resulted in the GG there. Admittedly, it was a little bit odd to see all the Stalkers pulling back. There was actually no reason for that. It's like, what, you're going to be scared away by one Immortal? There was like 7 Stalkers. That wasn't really going to happen. So it was kind of strange to see them just kind of running back to the base there. Maybe he was trying to draw forces out of position, but since there weren't actually any forces in the base at that time that could have shot the Oracle, I guess it doesn't really matter. So it was a bit of a weird one. As I said, it was 2 bases, 2 gates, and then onto a starport, Stargate even, and that resulted in the final demise of Todd. Short game. Todd went for the gateway expand, and it just fell flat on its face and was killed immediately. So that's unfortunate. Oh well. 4GG is now going to see where he can go with this. No gas taken as of yet. Let's see if he decides to take one on 13 or if he's going to be late with it. Alright. Chances are he's not going to take gas then. Usually you don't wait till 14 to take gas. There's like 1 or 2 builds where that happens, but it's most likely that he's going to go for a 1 barracks expand here, which is absolutely fine. Nothing wrong with that. The main potential problem of that is that it can be vulnerable to something like a proxy Oracle play, but since Lure has put down his second pylon inside his base and has only got 1 assimilator thus far, it is very unlikely that we'll be seeing any of that kind of shenanigans. Still, no, it's very, very possible to get hurt pretty badly by an Oracle play in this situation. Alright, there is the command center being morphed to the orbital, so we can expect to see a second command center go down, most likely on the low ground momentarily. Quite easy to defend that, not too much of a problem. Although we may see it actually built in the... looks like we're actually going to see it built in the main base. Alright, fair enough. So playing just nice and safe, a little bit cautiously. For those wondering what the difference is, maybe kind of new to Starcraft 2, building the CC on the lower ground instead of the high ground means that you can start mining immediately. So you don't have that time where you have to move. So it's economically better, although not by much. But it's also riskier because, 1, it's easily scouted. Hard to stop at this stage because you generally don't have enough units or marines to reliably prevent the opponent from scouting, which is actually not something that Lure apparently likes to do. We haven't really seen him scout all that much in this series at all. 2 more barracks to follow up here for 4GG. Nothing out of the ordinary. Still no gas, though. That is kind of out of the ordinary. Going really, really, really heavy. There we go. There's the 2 gas to come down. Okay. All is cool and well there, then. But it's nice to see him playing just a little bit safely, even though he kind of didn't need to. Obviously, he's the last out for his team, so he can't really afford to take all that many risks. Especially against a player of the caliber of MVP Lure, who evidently knows what he's doing. But it's scary when you think about it, because, like, what happens if MVP Lure actually wins this? I mean, the funny thing about MVP right now is they're basically sending out their B team to kill Millenium, and they have successfully done that so far. What happens if they decide to break out Super, who is, like, basically all killing people in GSTL? I mean, he's all killing A teams. He is just obliterating team after team. What happens if they send him out? I mean, think about that for a second. What happens if they send Keen out, for instance? What happens if they send Dongwei Gu out? There's all sorts of options. And that's a scary thing. And 4GG's going to beat potentially all of them. But, well, you never know. I mean, MVP might decide today is the day where we don't really want to reveal strategies for GSTL next week, so we want to just make sure that we do well based on our lesser-known players. I'm not saying that Lure is a bad player or that Bang is a bad player, but they are lesser-known players who are not necessarily going to be analyzed quite as heavily. 4GG now rolling out with these Marines. This is a good thing to do, considering his opponent actually went Robo. He's going double Observer before Immortal here. He's going to just go out and check, see what he can see. He has control of his side of the map. His opponent, of course, has control of his watchtower. Engineering bay on the way up here, as well as a factory for 4GG. Are we going straight starport here? I mean, by the looks of it, considering the number of barracks and tech labs, we're going to be seeing just the straight-up bio play. Starport should follow this up. There it is, and there's the reactor to swap it around. We might see a Widowmine or two deployed, but this is most likely just going to be a very Wings of Liberty-esque bioplay against Protoss. There's nothing wrong with that. It works absolutely fine. This is greedy as hell. Lure actually taking a third Nexus really early on here. It's an interesting idea. I've heard a couple of people speculate on this subject. The notion is that with Terran versus Protoss being the way that it is, taking a third base is harder than you might think, and if you do take a third base, then you're kind of vulnerable to drop play. Taking it earlier and being able to establish it earlier can potentially be a good thing, instead of sitting on two bases kind of being afraid of it. And if you can shut the drop play down effectively enough, then you have this really good economic advantage over the Terran. But we'll see. Double medevac production now coming in here. Upgrades as you might expect. As I say, just so far so standard. +1. Stim pack is about to finish. Combat shield is about to finish. 4GG will push across the map. The medevacs will pop out and then they'll come across. This has, however, been scouted by Lure, which is a great little move. And he's adding on 4 more gateways here. He's also got the Twilight Council working on Blink and bringing out an Immortal onto the field. Is it enough? No, Scan comes out, takes out the Observer. Nice little bit of sniping action, though. Lure is delaying this push quite significantly. But what happens if this push turns into drop harass, which it probably will? We'll find out. Straight pickup. 4GG actually moves around to make sure that he doesn't get scouted either. Zelnaga Watchtower is not actually in control. I think Lure might have seen that, though. Yeah, he did. He's moving for an interception. Or that he's just moving back to the base to deal with it. Obviously, you can expect that to happen in this timing in the game, but now he has confirmation. So, this third base is pretty vulnerable here. However, you do have Photon Overcharge, and this Mothership Core has enough for 2 of them. So, that's the real problem with dropping here. You've got to deal with this big giant-ass cannon. Here comes the drop onto the main mineral line, doing damage here and there. 4GG not... There we go. Now he's going to stim and do huge amounts of damage. Wow, he could take the Nexus out here, potentially. He wants to shut down these pylons instead, however. Going for the Mothership Core, that's going to be a freebie. There's the donation. Time Warp means that a couple more Marines aren't going to hit here, but he's now in a position where he can snipe this third. Very, very dangerous position here for Lure to be in. 4GG taking a lot of fire on that medevac. Not really Oh, well, he was in a rock and a hard place there. He had one position he could have microed to. He could have actually moved down here where I'm highlighting, and that would have saved that medevac. But as it stands, what we're going to probably see here is this aggression killed. Maybe an Immortal goes down here. Nope. And that's going to be 1 dead medevac. Lure defends very well here. 10 workers killed, but he's on 3 bases. He doesn't really care. However, this push is what... he's got that, no problem. He's got 2 photon cannons, a bunch of stalkers. No way is that going to actually work. And Blink's about to finish as well, so we might see counter-aggression coming in. The 3rd command center did go down behind this, so we're already into a 3-base gain on the 11-minute mark, so we could see absolutely anything at this stage. Upgrades coming out 1 at a time here for 4GG, as well as for Lure. He has not gone for the double Forge approach here. Still 1 gateway shut down thanks to that pylon being taken out, but again, not really a huge deal. Lure should be able to get plenty of units on the field regardless. And now 4GG's in a situation where he's going to think, right, alright, what do I want to do? Do I want to go for this concerted push here before Colossus come out? Might be pretty important. He's building an armory. Doesn't necessarily mean Hellbats, especially since there's a 2nd engineering bay coming out. Probably means just upgrade heavy bioplay. So he's going to drop, and then he's going to try and work his opponent in such a way that he can go for a full frontal assault. Could, of course, go for a gigantic Doom Drop as well. Oh, man. Oh, Lure's moving away. That's so unfortunate. This was actually going directly over the flight path of this pylon and these stalkers. That would have been disastrous for 4GG. I wonder if Lure's going to smell it. Does he smell it? No, he doesn't. He's moving out in the wrong direction. That sucks. I mean, he could still move in a position because 4GG decides he wants to take that pylon out. So these Blink Stalkers could prove to be very dangerous indeed. That's not a real Phoenix. You don't have to worry about that. Just saying, you not lost. Oh, there's the Blink coming in, and straight into a bunch of Marauders. Not exactly ideal. Wanted to go for the medevacs there. That was perhaps the worst set of force fields in history. That just didn't do anything. But hey, there you go. Ghost Academy now coming down for 4GG, which is an interesting move. Just preparing for a potential Templar transition. On 3 bases, very easy to swap out from Colossus to Templar. You've got the gas to do it. No real big deal. 4GG looking to try and draw his opponent out of position to get the big push up the ramp here. Lure's gonna have to do better force fields than he did previously. Scan goes down. There's still plenty of sentry energy. I say those 3 force fields were dreadful. He only caught a single Marine in it. Double upgrades coming up right here for MVP Lure, as well as for 4GG. He has a slight advantage in that regard, since he started his +2 weapons way, way earlier. He's working on his plus armor as well. Little push across the map here from Lure. Doesn't have enough units to really kill anything, but could potentially catch a drop. Wants to take map control as well. Another starport coming down right here for 4GG. Now he's on 3 bases. Double starport, and then being able to get out double Viking production is totally fine, because of course we could be seeing double Colossus production from Lure. It's not a weird position like we were in previously, where it was essentially one effective mining base and we had 12 million Vikings on the field, but hey, there you go. 4GG posturing at this time. Not really going to be able to get aggressive yet. These guys are pretty even in supply for the most part. A little bit of a lead for 4GG. Army supply slightly bigger. 4th base going down for 4GG. Man, if he can defend and hold that, then that's going to be huge for him. Lure's just kind of wandering the map trying to find potential drops, and he's not finding them right now at any rate. He's trying to keep map control as best he can, and we're just in a kind of passive phase of the game right now. However, Pylon comes down. Good position to be in, of course, because, you know, that's your natural 5th position there, so, and you can also get a run by into the natural from this position. If you attack the 4th and then run by the natural, it's a really effective way to do a lot of economic damage to your opponent. So that might be something that Lure wants to consider. Currently, it's still Colossus production. There's a lot of ghosts coming in, which is an interesting move here from 4GG to actually build a lot of ghosts prior to the Templar transition. I mean, honestly, right now, there is no sign of a Templar transition. There's no sign of Archons either, because, of course, there's no way for him to build it. It's a very gateway heavy. It's 12 gates, Colossus, only 1 Robo. Never mind, he does have Templar Archives. I completely missed that. My apologies. Ooh, a little bit of sniping going on. Nice blink. Takes out 2 medevacs. Absolutely wonderful. Takes it for free as well. Big Stim comes in. Doesn't find a 3rd base. He's going to have to... 4th base, in fact. He's going to have to hit this 3rd somehow, but... It's just... I look at the armies up against. So many units across the board. Ghosts are now in position. EMPs could contribute here, but some of these ghosts didn't come out before Mobius Reactor finished, so some of them only have a single EMP, some of them didn't at all. Damage being done here. Ghost gets picked off by charging Zealots. Lure looking good here. EMPs hit the Archons, but they don't hit the remaining forces. Aggressive blink comes in. Lure's just like battering this back, right back to this 4th base, which thankfully is about to have a planetary, so Lure may have to back away. He does, however, have extended thermal lance. This time, good force fields to split that force up. Is there enough meat at the front? It looks like there might be. Lure is battering this. This could very well be the end of 4GG and the end of Millenium very quickly in this series right now. However, the meat has finally evaporated at the front, but the 4th base dies in the process. What a great move there by Lure, and now he's attacking the potential 5th. That is why that is such a good position to be in right here. The Ghosts didn't really do anything. There weren't really any Templar for Storm. In fact, I don't think he's even researched Storm. He went pure Archon. There were only 2 Archons at the front. The EMPs hit that. Not the Zealots, not the Stalkers, and certainly not the Colossi. And there weren't enough Vikings to kill the Colossi as well. So I think that 4GG maybe overdid it with the Ghosts. Didn't really have enough Vikings on the field. And right now his Natural's under grave threat. 4GG taking more damage. Will he be able to defend this? SCV's coming off the line. Archon's in, and there's no EMP to stop this. Oh, wow, and +3 armor's about to kick in as well. I think 4GG might be very well in a position where he's just going to die immediately here. Look at the supply, 147 to 91. Blink Stalkers come in. These Immortals at the back are just not dying at all. More reinforcements come in as well, and Lure is in just such a fantastic spot. And there's the GG, and a quick end to Millenium. MVP just obliterates them with 2 players. That was not a close series at all. It really wasn't. I mean, it would be unfair to call it close. 5-1. Daishi, the only one to bring one on the board here with an excellent TBT performance. But Lure and Bang, oh my god. Are you scared? Yeah, you should be. You look at MVP and you look at what they can do with only 2 players. These aren't even the players they send out as their kind of big linchpin players in the GSTL. And yet they're good enough to dispose of Millenium. That was ugly. It really was. Millenium took a battering there. They really, really did. They're going to have to severely rethink their strategy, I feel. Admittedly, that was one of the, if not the strongest team in the league right now. MVP, just such depth of the roster there. You know, you can say what you like about Liquid and maybe Axiom, but MVP has an incredibly deep lineup. They're very good at team leagues. and they're very hard to deal with. So now that we know that this was a 5-1 result, we will go and have a look at the actual rankings here in the Acer Teamstory Cup. Now, these have probably not been updated yet, but I can give you the answer. So, currently MVP is 2 series to 0, and that puts them on 10 maps won, 3 maps lost. That puts them at the front, slightly ahead of Caronte Esports Club, because that puts them with a +7 map advantage. On the other hand, that puts Millenium down to 3 maps won, 10 maps lost, and a 0-2 performance, which puts them right down at the bottom of the league, below Team Acer and below Quantic. Ouch, city population Millenium right now. They really need to rethink things going forward into this next series. That was rough. Very rough. MVP are not messing around. Not messing around at all. Insanity. But there you go. Lure finishes it off for Team MVP. Millenium is sadly dead and buried in the series, and left with a lot of questions and not an awful lot of answers. Alright folks, you have been watching the Acer Teamstory Cup, brought to you by Intel and Acer. Thank you very much for watching, and of course thanks to Take TV for organising this particular event. MVP currently at the top of the table, which is where I think a lot of people expected them to be. Only slightly ahead, however, of Caronte Esports Club, which is probably not where people expected Caronte Esports Club to be, but they have been putting on a fine showing so far.